Okay, so I have to confess, this isn't my straightest hollow square extrusion, but it's going to illustrate my point. Before I started the camera again, I had the extrusion coming through. You saw that I had to go quickly get more clay, which I had on hand behind me. And the first part of your extrusion when you're doing something this big comes out pretty rough. And so I used my guide rails, like I told you, to get a cut. I could have done better, but you know, here we go. It is what it is. And I got a good cut, or good enough, and continued the extruding until I was all the way down. And I was sweating it because I wasn't sure if this extrusion was going to reach all the way down to my little bamboo cutting boards so I could finish the rest of my demonstration. But here we are at the point where I'm ready to cut this thing away. So assume that if I had taken a little bit more time, a little bit more practice, and made a better cut, blah, 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 I could have had a square cut, which to vindicate myself, I'll show some I did in still photographs for the book. And I'm ready to make this cut. So what I have is the cutting wire at the back along this rail, and I'm touching the clay now. I'm starting to cut on the diagonal by pulling this side of the wire first. I'm drawing it through as best I can. The extrusion now is released. You could pull this, if you did, it's already not the best extrusion in the world, but it would pull on the bottom and distort it even more. So the trick here is to deftly remove the cutting board from the middle. Don't let the barrel fall out until this thing comes away. Don't worry about the bucket. And now you can get over to your table. I hope that's still in the frame. So the way I improvised this was I had to use this bucket. If you're committed to doing something like this, you'd make something with a little bit more permanent hardware. What I had was, when I was doing this regularly with these shapes, was I had a set of blocks that worked perfectly, and I set it at the height. I don't have those anymore, otherwise I would have shown you. But if you're gonna do this kind of work, build yourself something that's not permanent, of course, because you want to use this apparatus for other things, but something that you know will reliably hold it and allow you to move it. The little bucket improvisation was fine. You know, I mean, it still allowed me to get it over the table to my landing zone. You make sure a table like this is here, make sure it's leveled up, keep it leveled up. Whatever you have to take there, put legs on it so it needs to be level so your cuts are as square as possible. And then use something that allows you to get a square cut at the bottom of your extruder. Other extruders have die frames, die holders, that are square already. But in the case of the Baird that uses these C-clamps, you have obstructions. So my answer was this set of angle irons, as I showed you, works great for me. You get reasonably good cuts, unless you do something like I did. But with practice, you can get nice squared cuts, and it's all removable. So it's not like you're making a permanent modification to the device. It's something that you add on cheaply from the hardware store, using all the other tools that Bailey provides. And then you can, with this cut, you can do what I was, let's see what happens. I'll just, while I'm running the tape, let's just take this thing all apart. Can't get any more embarrassed now, right? I just don't want this segment to run long. So I'll cut this. But anyway, let's get these things off. Nothing's gonna fall. The clay's being held, but let's just see what you get when you start to take all this stuff off. Here comes the angle irons that I put in place like this. You don't want to get them so close that they interfere with the extrusion. Here's the other one to take off. I'll get it out of the way. There's that one. So that's the two. This is the two angle irons I just got from the hardware store and cut, and I smoothed them on the edge so they wouldn't cut me. And this is the die and the expansion box frame inside that I was holding on to. Let's see if I can get it, what happens with it. I think I could wiggle this thing out of there, but man, this sucker's in there. So what did I do before? Well, let's see if it lets me get a little help. Ooh, there's a tip. Okay, so to the extent that you can, unless you're all the way down here, use your plunger, because it won't hurt anything, I'll just push it, but use your plunger to help you get the rest of the way. Oh my goodness. But look at all the clay you get back. So it's much less than you would have if you filled it all the way out to the edges of the box, which by my estimation almost takes a whole bag of clay, depending on what a bag of clay sized in your part of the world is, but a whole bag here of overhead, plus the clay that goes into this. But of course, when you're all finished, you're recapturing that. This comes away. Look what I have to clean off. So there's some above the die and there's some around the periphery, but not as much as I would have had to deal with had I not used my filler box. So that's the case made for using the filler. So there you have it. Sorry I didn't get a more elegant extrusion for you, but I think actually I'm accustomed to doing a lot of finessing of these extrusions after having extruded them at my bench, and I'm sure this will take straightening and could be fashioned into something that I'm happy with. So I hope you try it. I'm here to help with all the little ins and outs as much as I know about them. And so I invite you to try these things. And what you see from all this as sort of an epilogue is you have to do some modification. These things only do so much. And if you want them to do something different, then it's up to you to come up with modifications like that die frame that we got from Bill Shin, or the expansion box frame that is, or the little angle irons that I brought to bear on the process, the table, all this other stuff, how to put the cutting wire in one place so you can operate one-handed. And there's always benefit in having a partner to help you and give you other tips that they may see. So I do hope you'll try it. And like I said, I'm here to help you if you come up with other ideas. And if you have other suggestions, do please share them. I've been at this for a long time, but I'm always discovering new things. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye now.